Greetings, everyone. I'm Tanya Love, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Tanya Love Show. I just first of all wanted to thank all of you that wrote me and just were sending love to me and my family last week since we canceled the shows after I had to assist my sweet soul sister Shiva in leaving her body. And it was really interesting, emotional time for me because she and I were so close. And I just want to thank all of you for taking time to honor her and just send love to me as well. So thank you so much for that and for being patient while I took a week off. I really felt that taking that week off was important for myself because, for one, I didn't think Amnon wanted to hear me cry for an hour. So I just figured I would just do that by myself. And so I did. And I feel that as humans, it's really important that we honor our emotions and that we allow ourselves to feel whatever is rising. And as it was coming up for me, I just felt like the most important thing for me was some time in nature. So I went hiking and I just went to places that made me think of my dog and, really honored her and had a good cry and released all the attachment to her form. Because as humans, we love these forms. We love the forms of our beloved, our children, our animals. And that's natural. That's a normal thing that we would love that. But there's also a level of balance where when it's time to let go, there's a wisdom in honoring that for ourselves and for the soul that's now transitioning into a new form. And so I felt like not only was that important for me to take that time off for myself, but like I've always said, I really feel that the way I live my life is kind of shining an example and mirroring to others so that it can help them see that they have permission to also choose that for themselves. And a lot of clients that I work with, they have shared with me how much they struggle in honoring what they need. And, I've had some clients recently come to me and they're like, oh, I really want to work with you. I want to come to your workshops, but, I don't know if my husband would approve, or I don't know, my children might think I'm weird, or my friends might think I'm a weirdo. And I just feel that so many times during the day we're giving opportunities to honor ourselves and to really be true to ourselves. And it's really important that we listen to that and that we honor what we need. And so I felt like my taking that week off was not only beneficial for myself and for my family to grieve and to heal, but it was a really amazing opportunity for me to shine that example of that nothing else is more important than our soul's alignment.
Yes.
Many of us will think, oh, my work is so important and I have to work, even though I'm sick, or, I just lost my mother, but I don't have time to grieve, got to go get busy. And I really feel that is what causes so much of the anxiety and the stress in our society is that we have gotten so far away from just the natural alignment and the natural balance of things. And I hope that my example can encourage each of you to choose yourself and to choose to honor what you really need to do and to honor what you're feeling and what you're needing to process and move through, especially in connection with grief. Because from my observation, I've grieved in the past, after my father's suicide, it took me years to get through that. And I was just clinging and attached to, a lot of guilt and worry and sadness about why did it have to be this way. And I found that the more we just honor what we're feeling and we allow ourselves to cry, we allow ourselves to feel, we move through the process much more quickly, more naturally, and more peacefully. And really, it's up to each of us how long we choose to grieve, how long we choose to stay stuck in an emotion. If you remember past shows, I've talked about emotions are just like the clouds in the northwest. They're moving by quickly, and we don't want to be attached to our emotions. We want to actually understand that they're just an energy moving through. And so with the example of my dog getting sick and her body's failing her, and I know that I have to help her to be free, the emotion of sadness was here, and I had to feel that emotion and to honor it and then let it pass, because it didn't need to stay. I don't need to stay connected to that feeling of sadness. I can just understand that this is an energy that's here, and I'm going to honor this energy, and I'm going to allow it to move through me. But I don't need to affirm it's who I am, because I've heard people like, I am sad, I am depressed, I am, sick, I'm this. And we start making these emotions very solid, and we start to attach and identify our very existence with them. And that's where we get into trouble. That's where we create a lot of unnecessary suffering. So maybe that's just, my life experience could have the opportunity to touch some other lives and help them to also honor themselves. And I had so many people writing me stories about their pets and how much their pets meant to them. And what was so beautiful is I just feel so many of us have these creatures in our world, these cats and dogs and bunnies and birds, and there are these amazing spirits that are here with us for a short time. And in the case of my dog Shiva, she is just such an amazing soul, and I've always known it. And many people would even comment on how she's just not like a normal dog. It's like she doesn't even think she's a dog. And some people had a problem with that. Some people would just be like, she's so entitled, and she just thinks she's like a queen. And I just found it interesting to observe everyone's take on Shiva. But the way I felt with her is that she was a goddess, and she knew it. And she was such a healer, and she would always want to be with me when I would be teaching my yoga classes. Like, the yoga students and I were laughing the other night, just thinking of her and remembering how there was times we were annoyed with her. Like, I'm trying to teach a class, and she's walking across the hardwood floors with her little nails clacking on the floor, and times where she'd go up with her sometimes not so great breath and try to breathe on the students, and they're just like, go away. And so she had her moments, but she was such an amazing healer, and she loved to be in the presence of everything I was doing. If I was teaching a workshop, if I was working with a healing client, she wants to be right under the table and sitting in the room while they're crying and working through their emotions. She just stare into their eyes as they pet her. And she just always offered comfort. And I felt like I just felt so much gratitude for the time I had with her, because I went through some of the hardest things in my life while she was in my life. And, moving through after my business had closed, and the grief of that, and the transition of making that choice to leave a 20-year marriage, and the thousands of hours of hiking that I did to make that decision. And she was right there, my silent companion at my side. And then the choice after leaving that relationship, she was there as we hit the trail again, because we're processing more information. And every time before I would work with clients and I'm out in nature and I'm connecting, Shiva was there with me. And what's cool is, since she passed, like a week ago, some fun little thing I wanted to share is I talked to her as I was helping her, prepare to go, and just told her I loved her so much, and that I just wanted her to know how honored I was for her to be with me as long as she was, and that I really hoped she would come back to me. And I just asked her to give me signs that she was with me. And a couple days later, I was in my healing room with a client, and I'm working with her. And all of a sudden, I heard her tail hitting the floor. And in my mind's eye, I could see her sitting to my right. And right then, I kind of laughed. And my client was like, "Oh, what are you laughing about?" And I just was like, "Oh, I just felt like, I can feel Shiva here." And she started laughing, and she's like, "Tanya, I swear to God, I just heard her tail hitting the floor." And so I thought that was pretty cool, because we both heard it, and we both knew she was here. And she's given me other signs since, just letting me know she's around. And so maybe just this happening to me is just to help each of you. Some of you maybe are struggling with a sense of loss of someone. And really what I've been shown is we're never alone, and we don't really lose anything. We do miss the form. Like, I will miss holding my little fuzzy, soft puppy, and, you know, I will miss that breath even, and I'll miss the clanking of her toenails, but I still feel her soul with me. I still feel her presence, and I know that her soul will choose a form that is more suitable for the rest of her journey, and I just celebrate that with her, and I really, you know, honor her courage to go on a new journey. And I feel like that's so important for us to each understand the natural process of death, and that it's not really the end, but it's just a transition. It's just a shape-shifting opportunity, and we really are shapeshifters, and there will be a time that each of us will choose to leave the form and to shapeshift into a new form that will serve us in a greater way. And so it's nothing really to be afraid of, but it is something to be honored and celebrated. And so I just wanted to thank each of you for joining me in honoring her, and just in the love that you sent to me and my family, because that really helped us a lot. And yeah, we cried a lot, and I'm sure I'll cry again. There's going to be times that I'll just think of her, and I do miss her, but at the same time, I sense her presence, and I just felt like it was important to talk about that. And so on that note, this week, what came to me because of all these things going on over the past couple weeks, I feel like what Spirit's really been teaching me and helping me understand so that I can help encourage others that are ready to understand that is the power of surrender. And so today, that's really the topic, is the art of surrender and what that is. And so for each of us, we're going to have these moments where it will really greatly serve us to learn to go with the flow and to really surrender and live in trust. And it's not, none of us are immune to this. And really, from my observation, the humans that suffer the most are the ones that feel the most in need to control life, to control the flow, to control others, to control everything. And that control, that need for control, truly comes from misalignment within the person that's in that space. Because when we feel out of control, when we feel afraid, when we feel intimidated or insecure, when there's ego operating very powerfully in our life, then we have a need to control others. However, if we can acknowledge that in us right now, if we know, wow, I've really been in that place, I've really been lashing out, I've been trying to control other people, I feel so controlling over my own world, we could really tune in and be honest with that. We can catch that and then choose higher thoughts. We can choose higher expression, and we can choose higher aligned action. And so living with surrender, living in surrender and living in trust, for myself personally, has been the most important gift that I've ever been given and really fully understood. And it did take me some time. There was times I was dragging my heels and just, I didn't like things being changed or taken, and I was kind of pissed off about it. And I used to complain, and I used to be angry, and it's now I'm going to blame somebody else because how dare them. And the more that I've been shown and taught that everything happens to us, everything comes to us for a greater purpose and a higher reason. And as we can tune into that purpose and that higher intention, we really can start to understand that this universe that is here supporting all of us, each of us, the universe is supporting our growth. It's supporting our evolution. And if we can learn to really tune into that support and trust that as situations flow to us, they're here to help us. They're here to help us to flow and trust and move in new directions.